Nino Brown Boxing. I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. All right, man. So it's a lot of shit going on. A lot of shit on Twitter. A lot of shit on just social media in general. So last time I checked, we were out of the Mayweather era, and we were in the era of Deontay Wilder. One belt, one face, one name. Simple as that. Last time I checked, the heavyweight division is the most dominant division in boxing. Deontay Wilder is the people's champ, and Deontay Wilder has set the standard in today's boxing of how a champion truly conducts himself. So when it comes to all of this talk with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, a lot of people are looking so fucking unfamiliar right now. And I say that because all I see, and I take a deep dive into, I took a deep dive yesterday in what's going on. I've listened, I've read, I've done research. I went back and looked over it again and just heard what people are saying now and what people have said in the past. Now, I've gone at Bud myself for certain things, and certain things I've defended Bud on. Me personally, I would prefer a different approach outside of Twitter, especially like when he was just, I would prefer a different approach. But at the same time, the platforms you have is the platform you have. I mean, I remember when Keith Thurman was being absolutely silent and everyone saying that they want Keith Thurman speaking up and they want Keith Thurman talking some shit. They want Keith Thurman talking like he wanted to take the fight. All right. So when it comes to this Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence shit, I don't believe no one is ducking anyone. But I believe these, like, I don't know what to call it. It's just like fandom going overboard for Errol Spence. See, I'm an Errol Spence fan. I'm a Terrence Crawford fan. I'm a Deontay Wilder fan. And I believe Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford is a 50-50 fight or 55-45 fight. I have my favorite. I believe, put it like this, if I put money on it, I'm picking Errol Spence. All of that aside, I'm noticing some shit that is very reminiscent of the Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder situation. And a lot of these Anthony Joshua fans, a lot of these Anthony Joshua protectors have been on a mission to use Dillian White as some type of protector, some type of bodyguard, some type of guard dog, whatever you want to call it, for Anthony Joshua. But I'm noticing now the trend is starting to come up is that's what a lot of people are starting to do for Errol Spence. Use Sean Porter as this guard dog, this protector for Errol Spence Jr. Now, Terrence Crawford, he's calling for unification. With that being said, I have no problem with it. Like Deontay Wilder said, one belt, one face, one name. If that's going to happen, if that's the standard of boxing, and we're out of the Mayweather era, and Eddie Hearn and Dillian White and Anthony Joshua are all on bullshit, well, why the fuck is people saying that before Terrence Crawford faces Errol Spence, he needs to face Sean Porter? It sounds very matchroomish to me. It sounds like some DAZN shit. If it's one belt, one face, one name, then the expectation would be Terrence Crawford just fought in December. Terrence Crawford last fight so the American fight and the Mean Machine fight, it was an 8-month span. According to Errol Spence Jr., he said out of his own mouth that he doesn't want to tune up. He want to get back into action. And he recently said this past weekend, he wants to get the WBO belt in 2020. Well, why not Errol Spence takes his next fight? And let's say if it's spring, so let's say if that's March, April-ish, and they fight late August, September. I mean, even if Terrence Crawford threw a tune-up fight in there or a stay busy fight in there, similar how to Jamel Charlo threw a stay busy fight in between him and the Tony Harrison fight, the shit can be made. But all of this using Sean Porter as a guard dog, it's dumb. Because if a fight with Sean Porter and Bud can be made, if a fight with Danny and Bud can be made, then a fight with Errol and Bud can be made. See, and another thing when it comes to all of this talk that it's never like been discussed. See, when it comes to Deontay Wilder and the whole Anthony Joshua situation, we all know Wilder, he's his own boss. Wilder can move whatever way he wants to move. Wilder was open and willing to go on over to DAZN to make that fight happen because Wilder wants to fight. Wilder doesn't need another man to protect him. Wilder, put it like this, Wilder fans know Wilder doesn't need another man to protect him. So, with that being said, why in the hell, if we know Wilder is his own boss and we know AJ has a boss with Eddie Hearn, why isn't the same energy kept? I mean, Errol Spence said he's his own boss and he told Terrence Crawford that Terrence Crawford wasn't. So, with that being said, we can talk about the past. We can talk about, oh, he resigned. But the reality of the fact, right now, we all know Terrence Crawford is not his own boss. He can't make those decisions. With that being said, if we think Terrence Crawford is bullshitting, you think it's a lie. If people really believe Terrence Crawford does not want to smoke with Errol Spence, then call his bluff. I look at it like that. If you're your own boss, you have the ability to go over there with ESPN and negotiate. Let's just see how those negotiations look. Because if you're your own boss, you have the flexibility to move. It seemed like on the PBC side, the only guys that I've noticed has been on PBC that's really been utilizing their own boss status. Deontay Wilder showed that he's willing. He showed that he was willing. He went on a meeting. Jamal Charlo discussed it, but it didn't go further than a discussion. Then you have the guy that really maximized it the most was Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs fought in the PBC. He went over to Matchroom, and to my understanding, he still has some type of affiliation with Al Heyman. But nevertheless, all of that bullshit aside, I want to see unification, and it doesn't make sense for anybody. If anyone ever took issue with this whole Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder situation, and trying to push Sean Porter in the front as if Sean Porter is some type of guard dog, yes, it would be a great fight. Yes, I would love the fight to happen. But the reality of it is, we always talk about we want unification. Unification trumps all. Well, if Errol Spence doesn't want to tune up, if Errol Spence is coming back in the spring, and if Terrence Crawford's last fight just had 8 months in between it, why can't this fight between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence take place at the end of summer going into fall? It's the perfect timing. Errol Spence can still have a fight in March, in April, and the shit can happen late August, September. It seemed like the perfect outcome to me. And with Errol Spence talking about he wants a WBO belt in 2020, unless Errol Spence is planning on fighting Manny Pacquiao, whatever fight he has coming back, and then Terrence Crawford, I don't see that happening between late March, early April, and December. And on top of that, Errol Spence, I understand that he said he wanted to clean up the PBC side, but at that point, it's nothing left. The last champion on the PBC side is Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao got in the ring with Errol Spence Jr., but he's not fighting Errol Spence Jr. next. He has from what I see, Manny Pacquiao has no plans, and he is the last piece of the PBC puzzle when it comes to collecting belts. So unless some new shit has broken, unless people are putting Manny Pacquiao in a position that he don't want to be in, because he is the last piece. These Danny Garcia fights, these Sean Porter fights, shit, why aren't they fighting each other? Like, we're talking about Ugas. Danny Garcia should be fighting Ugas. He already lost to Porter, and he already lost to Thurman. Thurman already lost to Pacquiao. Porter already lost to Thurman. Porter already lost to Pacquiao. Ugas, he's in the mix as well. I'm just saying, the last two pieces left at the welterweight division is Manny Pacquiao and Terrence Crawford. And since Manny Pacquiao already been in the ring, he's already been face-to-face with Errol Spence, and he definitely chose to go a different route, well, it seems like Manny Pacquiao not interested. Bud not clout chasing. He's trying to unify. And if we going about one belt, one face, one name, What the fuck is wrong with Bud? What is Bud doing wrong? Bud is literally doing whatever he can do. If he's not his own boss, he's limited to what he can do. So I look at it like this. Bud, talk your shit. I want unification. Fuck all of this other matchroom type using Dillian White and Sean Porter as some type of guard dog for the champ. No. Like, to me, it's one big popularity contest, and it seemed like what's good for the goose, not good for the gander. And I don't fuck with that. Errol Spence Jr., he's a beast. He's a monster. He doesn't need Sean Porter's protection. Errol Spence is not Anthony Joshua. We can call it how we want. We can decide to dissect resumes, but every time people dive deep into dissecting resume and who has he fought, guess what? You sound like Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua. You talk about numbers, you sound like Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua. All of the shit that we were despising when Deontay Wilder was making an attempt at becoming undisputed. This is what's going on with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford right now. I don't know, people want to be, well, they're going to put on blinders. They're going to act like that's not the case. People going to act like, you know, this is different because it is. I mean, you can be extremely technical about it, and you can focus on the semantics all day, every day. The end result is unification. And what Bud is asking for is clear. Unification. At welterweight, it's only 3 fighters that can participate in the unification bout as of today. As the beginning of 2020, the first week of 2020, it's either going to be Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao, or Bud Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao, or Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence. And it seemed like Manny Pacquiao not interested in fighting either one of those niggas. So with that being said, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, unification, 2020, one belt, one face, one name. That should be the goal. Nothing else. Nothing else is important. All of this numbers talk, all of this other side of the street talk, all of it's bullshit because it doesn't get us where we want. It just takes us back to this Mayweather A-side, B-side era bullshit. All the shit that we complained about. All the shit that we complained about Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua doing. That's what you do when you push for anything other than a unification bout with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. We know damn well Manny Pacquiao don't want no smoke. And it's really that simple. It's Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC, and I'm out.